What up, everybody? It is your boy Jabbar back again with another video. I know I haven't done this in a long time. You know me, you know I teach college writing 101. I'm not gonna give out exactly where I teach college writing 101. Um, but if you know me, you know where. Um, and it's mostly the freshmen. I have like 25 students per class, so that's about 100 students. Yeah, it's about 100 students. So I've been just really preoccupied. Haven't really had any free time to like get my thought together, collect my thoughts on anything, and really give an in-depth review on anything lately. But I hopefully will be able to get back into that. Um, this video will be about remembering Toni Morrison. I wasn't able to get to it. I wanted to do a video on remembering Toni Morrison as soon as it happened. I did not. I felt like it was better to like wait, gather my thoughts on it. Also, I was also making multiple syllabuses or syllabi, if you want to be technical about it. That was actually, I shouldn't say a good time, but it was just a good time to like reflect, get my thoughts together, also like process Toni Morrison passing. I don't know Toni Morrison. It wasn't like a boo-hoo type of passing, but it was for me like a let me go back and like watch a lot of her interviews and a lot of what she said, a lot of what she taught. Well, this video is mostly about responding to a lot of stuff that I saw online in terms of remembering Toni Morrison when Toni Morrison passed. And so there was like there's two things I want to respond to. There was this guy on Twitter that I actually follow, that I actually like. I usually like his commentary and stuff on political issues, and he sort of jumped out the window. Sort of jumped out the window when talking about Toni Morrison and her passing, talking about how she was kind of like this like evil woman who like she was this evil woman who wrote terrible stories about black people. She was lifted up by white media to write terrible stories about black people and degrade black people, specifically black men, and pit black women against black men and all this other stuff. And I was just kind of like looking at it. I was like, I couldn't believe the tweet. I was like, no, not you. Like, no, not you. Um, but yeah, he jumped out the window, and I just responded with like, I wasn't even mad at it because I was again I was in the process of watching her videos, and in one of her videos she says something to the effect of like, when people try to put these like political ideals and ideologies into her work, she finds it kind of funny because like that's not where she goes when she's in her head writing these stories. Like when people try to, and that's that she's like like she would say like people try to put like, oh, this is like extra feminist, or this is extra black or something like that, or extra really pro black or something like that. And she was just like, and not that she's like, not that Toni was ever ashamed of being a woman or being black, and being a black woman, but like that's just not, I guess she said, where she went in her head when she was creating these stories. Like she was really interested in something more deeply philosophical about society than like these polarized, than being on like on the side of either of these polarizing issues or something like that. And that black people and telling black stories was just something that was just her avenue of was just her avenue. Telling the stories of black people was just her avenue and way into answering these questions and answering these philosophical questions. um, you know um, she said that she wanted to write black people outside of white gaze, and thinking about what white people would think about it and how they felt about it and how they feel about black people. She's like, she didn't want to corrupt any of her stories with any of those outside thoughts of, oh, what's this person going to think about it, what's this person going to think about it, and are they going to racialize it, and are they going to make something racist out of it. Like she was like, I don't care, like I'm just gonna I have this deeply philosophical questions about society, and I want to explore those through the stories of Black people. And so she find it funny that when people like make things like, oh, this was extra feminist, or oh, this was extra pro-Black, or something like that, and it's like that's not even where she's at when she's thinking, when she's writing about it, when she's writing about these people. Um, and I was just, and I sort of responded to the guy. I was like, you clearly have never read like any of Toni Morrison's work. Like, even to say that like she was trying to like put Black people against not I mean Black men against Black women or something like that, that she was lifted up by white people. Well, first I'm gonna get to both of those arguments. Well, if one, the first one is that she was sort of trying to pit Black women against Black men or something like that, by making Black men look extra evil. And it's like, I've read a few Toni Morrison books, just a few. And it's like, I don't know if the female characters are any better than the male characters. Like, they all kind of have their faults and their flaws, and they all kind of have their good points and their bad points. Like, it's really a human experience where there is no real bad and good. It's just people and their experiences, and their experiences shaping them to do either negative things, mostly negative things, or positive things. It's not really about this like good versus bad, or like this group of women versus this group of men. It's really, her stories really aren't like that. So I don't know where he's getting that from. And I also think, I think Toni is fine with people making whatever they want to make out of her work. Like, she's completely fine with it. She does not, like, she knows what her work means, and what it's supposed to symbolize. And if you get that or not, like, she doesn't care. She didn't really care, which is funny to me as well. Like, she didn't really care. So she wouldn't even care about this comment. But I just was, I was just looking at it, I was just staring at it, and I was like, I couldn't believe that this guy was saying this, especially because I liked him. I think a lot of his political commentary is very good. But everybody has their faults and their bad points. But yeah, her books are really about like just really human experiences and people experiencing trauma, and that trauma shaping them into the people that they are, for negative, for good, or for worse, for better or for worse. It's really not about all of this like extra political and ideological stuff. So if you're putting any of that into going into Toni Morrison's work, like, you're just misreading the work, in my opinion. And then his other point about her being lifted up and brought to like the forefront and to the spot and into the spotlight by white people. Like, I think people forget like that Toni Morrison was not really respected by her white counterparts at the beginning of her career. Toni Morrison started didn't really pick up a pen to write her own novel until she was in her 40s. And the first book she wrote was The Bluest Eye. And she got a lot of criticism, like, I mean, not a lot of criticism, but just like a lot. It wasn't really literary like she would even talk about it. She was like, it wasn't a lot of she would say it wasn't a lot of literary criticism that was based on the merit of the work and her writing. It was based on like the racializedness that white people, again, their white gaze coming on and imposing certain beliefs onto her work. And a lot of the questions, and a common question she always got asked by white critics, and by other white authors and writers, was like, when is she gonna stop writing about Black people and start talking about something serious? That is what they would say. When are you gonna stop talking about race and start talking about something serious? In other words, when are you gonna stop talking about Black people and start writing about white people? Which they would ask her, pretty much all the time. They would be so condescending. Like, they would say, you're a great writer, but if you would just stop writing about race, and start writing about something important, start writing about something important, maybe they would actually like it. It's pretty much what they were saying. So she really wasn't liked at the beginning of her career. Um, a lot of racist comments, and even she was like, her response to those comments was like, "You would never ask this of a white writer. When are they going to start writing about black people?" And nor should they have to answer that question. First of all, it's not a literary question. It's not based on the merit of the work at all. It's just like, I remember I quoted Toni Morrison one time in one of these videos. It was the Black Mermaid video, the Black Little Mermaid video, with Haley Bailey, playing. She's playing the new Little Mermaid, in the upcoming Disney remake. Disney has now had a rollout of like 15 different things they're remaking this in the next upcoming 5 years. Oh, whatever. But I just had to throw that in there. But I quoted her in terms of talking about how white people can't imagine themselves outside of the center, and being outside of the center of everybody's attention, the center of everybody's world, and they have to be the center of everything. That was Toni Morrison that said that, and I got that from her actually. So I want to make sure that I give her credit now, because she was doing that in response to actually some a white reporter asking her, it's essentially the same thing. When is she gonna start writing about white people? And she was like, "You just can't imagine yourself as a sinner, can you? Like, it's unfathomable to you that you are not the center of my universe." Essentially, is what she told the reporter. She said it much nicer than that, actually, because that's just me adding stuff on. But she said it much nicer than that. But the other thing that I saw online was black writers and authors sort of talking about, what is going to happen to the state of black art, of black literature, of black authorship, of black people in editing and publishing. Because Toni Morrison, before she even picked up a pen to write her own book, she was a major influence in publishing, and getting and really paying it forward and getting other black writers and authors to write. She just found, like, reading white people all day long in the publishing office, in the editing office, to publish a story. She just found it boring. She was like, okay, we need to spice this up a little bit, because this is just woo. I forget, who did she work for? Oh man, I forget. I'm gonna have to look it up and then put it back. Who is she? It was somebody. I can't. I cannot. It's on the tip of my tongue. It's one of those things where on the tip of your tongue, but you just can't say the name yet. But essentially, yeah, she was just like, we need to spice this up, because these white writers, they're boring. Like, they're boring. They're boring me. I'm going to sleep. And so she was like, I need to get some black writers in here, people to tell their stories. She sort of mentored Angela Davis, Muhammad Ali, into writing books and stuff like, and other black writers, and novelists to write their books as well. Um, so yeah, people are like, what is going to happen to the state of like this and this and this and this and this? So, and Toni is a giant. Like, let's not pretend she's a giant. But I think it's a little unfair to make one person, like, the sort of the epitome, and like, like, as if she encompasses all of black art, and black art is Toni, and Toni is black art. She's a black artist, and she is a gigantic black artist and black, author and writer and novelist. But she is just one of the many giants that we all stand on. And she's laid a great foundation for the rest of us. And we can do nothing but say thank you, thank you, thank you for being a mentor, even though we don't even know you. For being an elder, because a lot of people they want to give themselves the name elder, but they really haven't done anything to be elders. They just kind of old. Uh, I'm just saying, honestly, being honest. Elder is more than just about age. It is about what you have contributed, to younger generations and generations to come. Um, but yeah, I think all we can do is say thank you. We have her with us all the time. Her writings are still with us, and they will always be with us. You can pick up a Toni Morrison book, forever, for the rest of your life. You can always go find a Toni Morrison book, always order one. Um, her writing and herself and her essence is always going to be in her, or her essence is always going to be in her writing, just as the rest of our, just as like the rest of us, like, who we are and what we believed, and what we stood for. Um, we put it all in our writing, so like she's with us still today. So um, I don't think, in terms of feeling like she's gone, I don't feel that, because I can always pick up a book and just listen to her, or I can, like, even like I was doing, going back and listening to her um, interviews. So it wasn't, when she died, it wasn't necessarily a traditional mourning that I was doing, but it was more of a reflection. And she lived a great life. Like, I don't think that, as a black writer, could you have asked for a better career than Toni Morrison? And I don't think even Toni Morrison, she couldn't ask for a better career, but I don't even think she really cared, or even like when she picked up when she picked up the pen when she was in her 40s, like, did she really like, she didn't really care if people liked it or not. She just knew that she wanted to write what she felt like had never been written before. And whether people liked it or not, or caught on, that was neither here nor there. Also, oh yeah, talking about Toni and like talking about Toni and being lifted up by white media, because I didn't finish that story actually. So Toni really didn't gain white acceptance and a big white audience and viewership and readership until it was about around the time that Oprah came. Not Oprah came, but Oprah sort of fell in love with Toni, and everybody knows that Oprah. This is not like and anything. This is just facts. So Oprah had a big white woman. Her audience was predominantly white women that tuned into her show and made her famous and made her a billionaire. And so when Oprah started her book club, she fell in love with Toni Morrison. And at the time, white women wanted to do, white housewives wanted to do whatever Oprah wanted to do. If Oprah was eating something, they were eating something. If Oprah wanted to read this, they were reading this. And so when Oprah fell in love with Toni Morrison, essentially white women fell in love with Toni Morrison. And that's how she got her white her white viewership, her white readership, and then her book started selling like hotcakes. But like, yeah, people were not feeling Toni Morrison even till this day. When you look in classrooms, even at the university level, people are still not teaching Toni Morrison, even though she's considered the greatest American novelist to ever pick up a pen. Like, and she has a Pulitzer and a Nobel Prize, and was Nobel laureate. No, she was the Nobel laureate, and then she won the Nobel Prize for literature. Yeah, like, which has only been held by, like, I want to say like 5 other Americans, but I might be wrong about that number. But I think it's a small number of American writers who have held that title, who have held that prize, and she's one of them. So like, but they still don't teach her in schools. It's crazy. They don't still don't teach her at universities. It's crazy. They say her themes and her subjects, they're too complicated, or they're they're too violent or graphic, they say, or whatever. Yet I can learn about Mark Twain and listen to a white guy say nigga a bunch of times throughout a whole entire book, and it's considered one of the greatest. Huck Finn is considered one of the greatest novels that America has ever read. Um, and it's just like, what? Like, but Toni is like graphic and violent and like all this stuff. Like, she's no more violent or graphic than any of the other white writers that write. Um, so I don't know what the issue. The issue is that I think white readers and right readers just still don't get. They don't. I think they're still stuck on. I think their minds are still stuck in that same place. Like, I don't get why she's writing about black people. I don't get it. I don't get it. But Toni didn't care about awards. Toni didn't care about recognition either. I remember her saying something to the effect of when Beloved won all the awards and whatnot, that like you know, that the awards were nice, that the recognition was nice, that the acknowledgement was nice, and she appreciated it, of course, and the opportunities that came with it were nice, of course. Um, but like, Beloved was about something deep. Like, the book sort of becomes then about the award, about the Pulitzer, about the Nobel Prize. Becomes less about like the person that I forget the book Beloved was actually it's actually based off of a real person. Margaret, is it Margaret something? Something. I think it starts with an M, but I just can't remember her name. And she, the child, was fleeing slavery with her children, and she got caught as she was about to reach. Reach, I think, was it Canada or something, or somewhere north, to freedom. And she got caught, and before she got caught, she killed her daughter and was gonna kill her kids, but she only could kill. She only got to the daughter, and so Toni kind of picks up the book Beloved. Pretty much picks up in terms of like, well, it sort of goes into that whole the daughter comes back to life. I mean, that doesn't come back to life, but sort of comes back as a ghost. Toni never specified whether she was coming back as a ghost or whatever she was coming back as, or whether or not the woman is going crazy or not. But she sort of just explores that idea that that child that she was going to sacrifice so that she didn't have to live the life that she did as a slave woman. Um, so the book won a lot of awards, got a lot of acclaim. Beloved, won the Pulitzer, stuff like that. And she was kind of like, she felt like because the book then became about the award that she got, it sort of cheapened the story and lessened the story. Like, she was really wanted to talk about this. I wanted to talk about, I mean, what does it mean that like a woman was like that woman also in real life, as well as in the book, is charged with murder, but like she's property. So how can property be charged for murder? So you would have to like. She was interested in these societal issues, right? Like the societal issue of slavery and of racism that makes somebody less than a person, even though you know they're a person. So you want to charge this woman. So you made this woman property, and then she kills her children because she doesn't want them to suffer the same fates of slavery as she has. So you put her on trial, but like, doesn't that make her a person? If that makes her a person, doesn't mean she has rights. And if she has rights, it's just sort of like going into these questions. Like, she was really interested in these questions, and that's what she went into in her writing. The way it feels like she paved the way for the rest of us, and we didn't lose anything, but we gained so much from just her being here for the short period of time that human beings are allowed to be here. And I just want to say thank you to Toni Morrison. Thank you to Toni Morrison. I'll be reading you forever. Don't mean to romanticize it like that, but yeah, like, we'll be reading you forever. Thank you for all you've done, And may you rest in peace. And I'm out.